his first reaction was, no, that's not true. It was just no, you're not, and you don't know.
大家好，我係新德莉莉，歡迎嚟到我嘅 channel。咁你見到我附近有個特別嘉賓坐咗喺度咧，所以我哋今日個 topic 咧就係會講 LGBT。點解咧？因為我附近都有啲朋友成日喺度問我話，哦，你有冇啲朋友仔喺印度食嘅 LGBT 啊？或者其實印度家庭會唔會接受呢樣嘢咧？所以我今日就邀請咗 Mehek， 咁俾佢自我介紹先啦。
My name is Mehek. I was born and raised in Hong Kong. My parents are Indian. Yeah, and this is home.
因為我哋個 video 咧都係想同 Mehek 傾偈啦，所以就會用英文嘅。咁我而家就轉台啦。I have a lot of friends that always ask me, you know, do you have any friends near you that are Indian but also in the LGBT community? So that's why I came across you and I wanted to ask you and through my video share your story as well. When did you realize that you are openly lesbian?
I realized I was gay when I was 18. I was actually at a friend's house on a sleepover, and she told me, one of my friends told me that night, she said, I think you have a crush on one of our other friends.
Oh.
And my first reaction was, no, that sounds crazy. And we had a long conversation. As the night went on, I thought about it. It started a long process for me of coming to understand if that was true or not. I felt like I didn't want it to be true. It felt like I was fighting myself to a degree. I felt a lot of shame, I felt a lot of embarrassment, and there was a part of me that was praying that it wasn't true. Yeah, and that was really difficult and challenging for me. And eventually I got to a place where I wasn't denying it, and I had enough confidence to own that it was true for me.
So after that you went through a long process, and when you came to accept it, the first person you told was?
The first few people I told were my friends, and it was the same group that had told me. So with them there was a lot of acceptance.
That's good.
I did also have a boyfriend at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so his first reaction was, no, that's not true. It was just no, you're not, and you don't know.
No, it's not true. That's impossible.
Maybe he didn't want to accept it as well?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I imagine it was difficult for him to hear.
When he didn't believe it, how did you convince him, or, you know, did you guys went through kind of a fallout or not?
Yeah, I guess I felt quite angry. I felt angry in that moment, and I felt sad.
Yeah.
It was hard enough, me going through it. And I can understand for him, like, seeming the experiences we've had together.
Yeah.
I can see how they wouldn't have linked up to the new information I just gave him.
Yeah. Do you get maybe other people around you, when you came out, did they actually treat you differently, or did you get any backlash at all?
I did. From my other friends, I guess the first reaction was, really? Like, really, is it true? And then there was some, like, I was getting made fun of. And what it took in me, yes, I am gay, this is true for me. Yeah, and holding that confidence in opposition to them making fun of me.
Yeah. I'm glad you had such supportive friends who told you.
Definitely.
That, yeah, instead of you realizing it. So, how about your family? How did they react?
So my mom, so when I told my mom we were going through a really difficult period at that time, there was already a lot of conflict and chaos at home. And when I told my mom, she said, why are you doing this to me? You know, as an 18-year-old, I took it as an opportunity to get angry and blame her. Use it as another thing to blame her for. Now I understand, right? A feeling of overwhelm and just not knowing what to do. And I also understand that she didn't grow up with it. It wasn't common. It wasn't as understood or accepted as it is today. So that was her first response. I feel sad that it was such an internal conflict. well, she kind of brushed it under the table. Well, we both brushed it under the table. And then a few years later, she started opening up in conversation with me and saying, you know, like, you know, some of my friends, like that person is gay, that person has a gay child. And I was like, oh, okay. And she started sharing that she was coming to understand.
So afterwards, she got to understand it, and obviously you guys got closer as well. And now she is completely, you know, as you mentioned, an advocate as well. So she supports you with everything you do. Yeah.
So the amazing thing that's happened in the last year and a half, I have my first long-term girlfriend, my first long-term partner, and I told my parents 1 month into it, which I wasn't expecting to do.
Yeah.
we haven't spoken about stuff like this. Especially as I was growing up.
Yeah.
I never told them about crushes I had.
Yeah.
But like it's a cultural thing.
Yes, for sure. I mean, even when I started dating my first boyfriend, I didn't tell my parents until 5 months later.
Yeah.
So, and then when I was growing up, I never told them about crushes, or there's sensitive things in Indian family I think we just don't mention. So
So I told them a month in. And I was really surprised by their reaction. And then she came to stay over at my place.
Wow.
And now a year and a half later, like they've welcomed her with open arms. Yeah, and my mom is like a cheerleader.
That's so sweet.
And I feel a huge amount of freedom to become like the fullest, most authentic version of who I am. And I have that space with my family today. A funny story that my parents told me about. When I was a little kid, I think I was 5 years old. My mom said that she had bought a whole series of dresses for my cousin's wedding for me. We went through all the events, and I was wearing all these little dresses, and she said I wasn't very happy about the fact. And I was only 5 years old.
Wow.
The last event, I refused to wear the dress. The crux of it is that after that, my mom decided that she would let me wear whatever I wanted. And so since I was 5 years old, I've been wearing little shirts and like crocodile pants. At 5 years old, I had some really strong idea about what I wanted to wear. And coming into my teenage years, I started going out to clubs, and I started wearing little dresses and wearing makeup and straightening my hair. And when I look back, it was a way to try and fit in with modern culture and the party scene and try and be cool and accepted. And after I came out as being gay, and after I started a journey of stripping that stuff away, I've come back to that little 5-year-old that likes button-up shirts.
Okay, so my last question or kind of discussion, what would your advice be on people who want to come out or who are scared to tell their family?
I would say that it can be a difficult process, and I would say be really gentle with yourself. Give yourself time, give yourself love and compassion. In all honesty, I feel like there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed about. And for me, keeping it a secret creates more shame, and then that can manifest or develop into unhealthy behaviors, and that can develop into negative feelings about ourselves. So I would say take your time, be around people who can offer you love and support. Remember that we're all the same. And there's absolutely nothing wrong. And the more you're able, little by little, to share it, for me, in my experience, the more freedom I've felt, and the more expansive and bright and light I've been able to be. So it's a wonderful journey.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Firstly, also understanding throughout the whole, when you first came out till now, you've blossomed so much, and you had so much support from your friends and family, which is amazing. So this is the end of our little interview. Thank you so much, Mehek, for joining us today. 咁如果你哋有其他問題或者有啲咩你哋都想問 Mehek 嘅話咧，你哋其實可以喺 comment 同我哋講聲㗎。咁我哋下次再見，拜拜。
拜。
你哋仲未走，走之前記住 comment、like 同 subscribe 我嘅 YouTube channel 啊！下次再見，拜拜。